A homosexual with poster board and sticky notes has just given his social media followers an update on his process to purchase babies.
Quick recap, we're having 2 babies. We bought 40 frozen eggs from our egg donor. 28 of those eggs survived the thawing process and then were fertilized. 12 of those fertilized eggs did not develop into usable embryos. So that makes 16 embryos that were sent to PGT testing. And we just got in those PGT testing results. Starting with Joshua's side, his one embryo that was rated good to average came back as chaotic, which checks out. That one is no longer usable. This one, which was originally graded good, came back aneuploid. Chromosome 13 only had 1 in the pair. On my side, the one that was originally graded as bad indeed came back aneuploid. Its chromosome 13 also only had 1 in the pair. This one, which was originally graded as good, came back with no DNA detected, so that's no longer usable. This one, too, which was also originally graded as good, came back aneuploid. Chromosome number 4 only had 1 in the pair. Lastly, this one, which was originally graded good to average, came back as high mosaic. Chromosome number 2 had 3 when it was supposed to have 2. All in all, we're so happy that we decided to purchase as many frozen eggs as we could, 40, because that leaves us with these 10 embryos for 2 babies. And we're told that the majority of journeys take 2 to 3 transfers to get pregnant. We
purchased usable, good to average. His words. Those are not my words. His words. Describing his babies. Potentially his babies. Well, his babies, I guess. But he'll probably kill most of them. In fact, he's admitting that he'll kill most of them. His words are not, we conceived, we made love, we begat. These things are not really possible for him, or not in his current lifestyle. So we purchased. I'm so happy we purchased 40 embryos. We purchased, and some of them were usable. Are children to be used? Some people think children are to be used. Are children to be purchased? Oh, they were purchased by, I don't know, the Ottoman Empire. They were purchased by slave traders. They were purchased and became janissaries in decadent and terrible cultures. Do we think children are to be purchased and to be used? And then do we grade our babies? If you are a normal person, not like him, if you're a normal person and your wife gives birth, and the baby comes out, do you look at the baby and you say, I guess I would give him a grade of good to average. He's not, I don't know. I wouldn't say he's an A+. I would say that my son he's a B-, and do I really want a B-? Kids are expensive, it costs hundreds of thousands of dollars to raise a kid to age 18. Do I really want, I don't know. You know what? He's not going to be usable for us. Nurse, this one I think is below average and he's not going to be usable. So we would like a refund. And if you're not, I know maybe you're not willing to give a refund on this one. So whatever, we're going to have to discard him. We're going to try again. Luckily, we purchased as many embryos we purchased as many eggs as possible. That would be screwed up enough. We purchased as many embryos as possible. What's an embryo? An embryo is a very small person. Sick stuff. Go to goodranchers.com, use promo code Knowles. I had some friends over for dinner on Sunday, as I do every single week. And as I do many weeks, we cooked delicious Good Ranchers steaks, the New York strip, and the ribeye, and they were magnificent. I said, when I saw sweet little Elisa preparing the dinner, I said, are those grocery store steaks? Or are those good Rancher steaks? She said, Mac, they're those good Rancher steaks. I said, good. All right. That way we're going to have a nice, delicious meal. Good Ranchers is going to get you, in my opinion, the most important thing, steaks that taste better than any steaks you're going to get. Second most important thing, the steaks are going to be less expensive than any steaks you're going to get. Third most important thing, though it's still very, very important, they're from the USA. And they're not like fake from the USA, like a lot of imported meat that gets product of USA on there. It's actually from the USA with the very highest standards. Now, they're not pumped full of antibiotics and all these sorts of artificial hormones and all this terrible stuff. The chicken nuggets don't have seed oils and all that garbage. It's the highest quality stuff you're going to get for the absolute best price, all supporting American farms and ranches. Go to goodranchers.com. Use code Knowles, Knowles. Get $40 off plus free meat for life when you start a subscription. That's Knowles for $40 off plus free meat for life. GoodRanchers.com. Welcome to the table. Now, 2 points. One, I'm Catholic, as you might know. And Catholics, and some other more traditional, Eastern Orthodox, and some even maybe some traditional Protestant denominations, venerate relics. What is a relic? This is an ancient Christian practice, goes all the way back to the Apostolic Age. A good example is when Polycarp died, and early Christians gathered together his bones and venerated them as part of their religious rites. If you go to churches in Rome or in the East, you'll see, the skull of St. Thomas Aquinas, or the chains that held St. Peter, or a piece of flesh or a piece of bone of some great saint. It is not legal to sell relics. It's not legal to sell relics because they're human bodies. That's why it's you can't do it. Canon law also forbids the selling of relics, but like regular civil laws forbid that because it's body part. And you're not even, take the relics out of it for a second. You're not allowed to just sell bones and skulls and human body parts in general. You get arrested for that. If you try to sell a human skull on eBay, the feds will show up at your door and arrest you. But we can sell a living person. I'm not allowed to sell a tiny little fragment of a bone of a man who lived 1,500 years ago. I'm not allowed to do that. But I'm allowed to sell 40 living, not just even living human cells, but like whole persons with like full DNA that will develop into full people that are still alive. I can sell 40 of them to this deviant, horrid man. How is that possible? Now, the next thing people are going to say is, well, Michael, look, this guy should not be buying babies because he's a homosexual and we don't like that. And we don't think two fellas should raise a kid, or we don't think two women should raise a kid. But we do think that a husband and a wife who are struggling with infertility, and I know the struggle, it's a tough struggle. We do think that a husband and a wife should be able to do this. Okay, well, you still have the problem of purchasing the babies, considering the babies usable or not usable, discarding most of them, killing most of the babies, grading your children, treating human beings as commodities to be bought and sold at market for higher or lower prices rather than as human beings, proper subjects who are not merely to be discarded, destroyed because they're a little too short or a little too fat or something. You still have that same problem. And just on top of that, as long as IVF exists, it will serve the cause of homosexual and single adoption. Because that is a market demand that it actually meets, that it reliably meets. And because we live in a culture, at least for now, in which marriage has been redefined out of reason and out of existence, and in which individuals are understood to have precisely the same rights as married couples, actually married couples. So you're always going to have that. There's always going to be greater demand for IVF among people who, in principle, will not conceive over normal couples who are just maybe struggling a little with infertility. And IVF, being a marketplace, will always commoditize human life. In some ways, I got to give this guy some props because he's just describing honestly what IVF is. He is just revealing, he's saying the quiet part out loud because most people don't want to admit what the process necessarily is. But it's horrifying. That's what it certainly necessarily is. I'm glad you liked that clip. Now, if you'll do me a favor, please subscribe. Very good. See you next time.